Hello everybody, Jim Haas, Regional Sales Manager with Blaze. Today I'm going to show you how to swap out the analog temp gauge on a Blaze gas grill. The only thing you're going to need for this is a Phillips head screwdriver and an 8mm nut driver. If you're swapping out one of the older style smaller gauges from the early generation Blaze grills, you're going to need to order 3 parts. And I'm gonna read off my list what those part numbers are, because unlike our customer service people who are amazing and can rattle off part numbers off the top of their head in most cases, I cannot. So you're going to need the gauge itself. Now if you have a traditional, an LBM or an LTE gas grill, the temp gauge is going to be part number BLZ-32-089. If you have a ProLux or Professional Series grill, the gauge itself is going to be a BLZ-3Pro18-063. The other 2 part numbers you're going to need are the same for either of those series of grills. It's going to be the bezel that goes around the temp gauge, which is a BLZ-32-090. And then the cover or mounting brace that's on the inside is a BLZ-32-091. Send me a question in the comments if you want those part numbers in writing. I'll write it out for you. But it is 3 different part numbers if you have the original smaller temp gauge with the low, medium, high as opposed to the numbers. After I show you how to swap this out, I'm going to get into a bunch of details about analog temp gauges, how they work, and why people get very frustrated with them sometimes. That'll be at the end of the video, because this one right now, we're going to show you how to swap this out. Now, I will also tell you that I am in my backyard. I'm doing this on my own Blaze. So the inside of this is very well seasoned. There's a difference between dirty and well seasoned. So before I get any cute comments down below on that, it is well seasoned. So obviously it's not going to be shiny, silver, new like in the Blaze showroom. But, you know, think of it like this. This is kind of a real world sort of training video. Most likely, if you've got a Blaze in your backyard, it's been used and it's well seasoned. Not dirty, right? Because little love goes a long way. All right, let's get into it. All right, getting up here inside the hood, and I've got my spotlight so we can actually see what we're doing here. All right, so if you open the hood, you will see inside the probe that sticks out from the actual temp gauge itself. This is the cover plate slash mounting bracket. That will come off with Phillips head screwdriver. And just be careful not to drop the screws and lose those, and nobody wants that. So once you take the 2 screws out, this mounting brace is going to pop right out. And now you will have a nice space here. Now up in there is going to be 8mm, 2 8mm nuts that are actually holding the temp gauge on. So with the nut driver, very carefully, I'm going to unscrew those. One, 2. And very carefully, with a steady hand, pull them out as not to drop them down into the interior of the hood, which, yes, has happened to me before. Then you got to take the hood off and do that whole thing. If you're a guitar player and you've ever dropped your guitar pick in your acoustic guitar, you know exactly what I'm saying. So at that point, we can close the hood, and this will then just lift right off. So the first part number I was talking about is the gauge itself. Then you have the bezel, and then the mounting bracket. So that's how the old one comes off, and the new one, just do exactly the opposite of that. Now the bezel is slightly formed to the curvature of the hood, so just make sure that's kind of set straight. Once that's on there, you want to open it back up. And that'll usually set right on there with no issues. So you're not going to, your temp gauge isn't going to flop off the other side when you open the hood. It's going to set right in there real nice. Then, very carefully, with the nut driver, place the 8mm nut in there. And tighten each one on. I'm not going to put the other one on right now just for time's sake, but you'll do both sides. You'll slide the mounting bracket and the cover back over here, and then you replace the two screws. It's really that's all there is to it. Now, let's talk about analog temp gauges. So there you go, nothing to it. I do want to touch on a little bit of how these analog temp gauges work, because we do get quite a few calls, especially when somebody is stepping up from, you know, something they may have bought at a big box hardware store for a couple $100, or stepping up to a premium category grill, if you will. We do get quite a few calls on the temp gauges. A lot of people think they aren't working properly, or they think their grill's not getting hot enough. Yeah, the way these work is it is analog, so it's giving you an average oven temp of the grill. So remember, the probe is right under here, so it's giving you that average temp of right around here. It's not giving you a dead accurate temperature of the grill surface itself, which I think is what a lot of people think these analog gauges do. And that's across the board for any brand that uses an analog temp gauge. It also depends on where on the hood this thing is placed. There might be a brand with a much shallower hood, and that temp gauge is going to sit closer to the flame, so it's going to give you a different reading. This is also why when Blaze first came out, knowing this, the temp gauge read low, medium, high, as opposed to giving you actual numbers. People wanted numbers, we gave them numbers. Then they wanted accurate numbers. So what we did with the Pro Series, and this is the reason the model number on the temp gauge on the Pro Series is different, is on the Pro Series, we did a lot of testing and development, and took some readings, different areas on the grill surface when we were cooking. You actually get 2 rows of numbers on the Pro gauge that gives you the average oven temp and then the average grill surface temp. So you're getting a little more accuracy there, and that's kind of one of those advantages of the Pro Series. So that's it in a nutshell. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to my silly little channel, and we will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.